Donald Trump sat at his sleek, imposing desk in the Oval Office, poring over the day's mountain of briefings and memos. Among the countless messages from diplomats and advisors, one envelope, plain, unadorned, caught his eye. It was handwritten in a careful, determined script, its origin a small, unassuming town in Virginia. The sender identified herself simply as Captain Evelyn Pierce, a 92-year-old retired Air Force officer whose life story exuded courage and tenacity. In just a few short paragraphs, her letter carried the weight of decades of hard-won wisdom. Mr. President, I ask not for accolades or recognition. I only wish to share something that might transform your understanding of leadership and legacy. If you can spare a moment, I would be honored to meet you. Before we dive deeper into this tale, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And if stories like this resonate with you, consider subscribing to our channel. Tomorrow, we have another special narrative waiting just for you. Trump leaned back, the familiar clatter of routine decision-making momentarily pausing as her words stirred a long, dormant curiosity. Even as his trusted advisor, Trevor Malone, reminded him that the day was filled with international briefings and policy meetings, something in Captain Pierce's appeal resonated. Here was a woman who had spent her life challenging expectations, and her quiet defiance, so different from the usual political posturing, beckoned him to pause and listen. Soon enough, a discreet visit was arranged, a journey to a modest Virginia home devoid of fanfare and press cameras. The motorcade rolled up to a house embraced by stately maple trees and a welcoming porch where an elderly woman rocked gently in a creaking chair. There was no splendor, no grandeur, only a warm, unpretentious invitation to step into a life rich with memory and meaning. Stepping out of his limousine, Trump was greeted by Captain Evelyn Pierce herself. Her presence was unassuming yet indomitable. Her slow, deliberate movements belied a strength forged in the crucible of a lifetime's battles. Her silver hair and lined face told stories of trials, triumphs, and the quiet dignity of resilience. With a firm handshake and a twinkle in her eye, she said, "Mr. President, I must admit, you're taller than I'd imagined, and you seem stronger in spirit." Trump managed a chuckle. "And you, Captain Pierce, are mightier than your years suggest," he replied warmly. Invited into a snug living room filled with well-loved books, faded photographs, and mementos of a long, hard-lived life, he sensed that he was about to be privy to a conversation that might shift the very course of his leadership. Over a simple pot of tea, Captain Pierce recounted her journey with unvarnished honesty. "I enlisted in the Air Force when few believed women could lead," she began, her voice steady yet imbued with quiet sorrow. "They called us fragile, unfit for the rigors of command. I fought not just to be heard, but to prove that true leadership is born from perseverance, not privilege." She spoke of rigorous training, moments on the front lines, and the constant struggle to earn respect in a world that was quick to dismiss her abilities. Yet beneath these stirring anecdotes lay a deeper message, a call to re-examine the meaning of leadership. As she spoke, Trump found himself nodding in thoughtful agreement. For him, leadership had always been about winning, closing deals, breaking barriers, and proving his detractors wrong. But Captain Pierce's narrative was different. "Leadership," she explained softly, "is not measured solely in victories or towering achievements. It's about the daily commitment to lift others up, even when no one is watching." Her words carried a gentle, persistent urgency that resonated with a side of Trump he rarely allowed himself to acknowledge. A longing for a legacy defined not by monuments or policies, but by the lives he touched. She continued, "I spent so much time proving myself in the heat of battle that I missed life's quieter, precious moments. My sister's wedding, my father's last birthday. We often trade genuine connection for the applause of success. But what is a legacy, if not the echo of compassion and the power to inspire others?" Her gaze fell on a faded photograph of a younger, resolute version of herself. A reminder that the cost of relentless ambition is sometimes measured in lost time, and neglected love. Trump's mind swirled with memories of boardroom battles, late nights drafting contracts, and the ceaseless drive to outdo every competitor. But as Captain Pierce's measured words cut through the noise of his ambitions, he was forced to confront a truth he had long buried. In his pursuit of greatness, had he sacrificed the simple, human moments that truly make life worth living? "Mr. President," she said, her tone now tender yet insistent, "you are a formidable leader. Yet I challenge you to ask yourself, what will you leave behind? Not the buildings, the deals, or the headlines, but the people you have empowered, the opportunities you have created." Leadership is as much about listening and nurturing as it is about commanding. Her words were not a rebuke, but a heartfelt appeal, a challenge to elevate his legacy beyond mere accomplishments. Trump's heart pounded as he absorbed her challenge. Memories of missed family dinners, hastily canceled phone calls, and quiet moments lost in the pursuit of ambition rose unbidden. "Have you ever felt that deep regret?" Captain Pierce asked, her voice a gentle invitation to reflect. For the first time in years, Trump felt vulnerable, aware of the sacrifices hidden behind his public triumphs. Captain Pierce reached into a weathered drawer and retrieved an old White House letter, a relic from a time when action spoke louder than words. "This letter," she explained, "was written by you in recognition of my service. I never read it fully back then, but now I see it as a challenge, a reminder that true legacy is built by uplifting those around you, not by hoarding accolades." Trump took the letter with trembling hands, each word on the faded page igniting a profound realization. His triumphs, however grand, were hollow if they did not spark genuine change. Her parting words resonated like a mantra. "Legacy isn't about what you achieve, it's about what you inspire. If you want to be remembered, you must lift others up." In that charged moment, the weight of his life's work, the countless deals, the high-stakes negotiations, seemed suddenly insufficient. He was forced to confront the question: would history remember him for his towering successes, or for the quiet, transformative influence he could have on those around him? As Trump left that modest Virginia home, the crisp autumn air and the rustle of maple leaves seemed to whisper possibilities of redemption and renewal. The encounter had planted a seed of introspection that would grow in unexpected ways. In the weeks that followed, instead of issuing sweeping public statements, he began to make subtle yet meaningful changes in how he led. One clear afternoon, far from the prying eyes of the press, Trump quietly attended a community center event dedicated to mentoring young female leaders. The room buzzed with the passion and determination of emerging voices, voices that reminded him of the spark he had seen in Captain Pierce. Among them was a young woman named Jasmine Monroe, whose story of overcoming discrimination and personal hardship was as raw as it was inspiring. She spoke of mentors who had believed in her when few others did, and her eyes shone with the same fierce determination that had once animated Captain Pierce's own journey. In heartfelt conversations that day, Trump listened more than he spoke, asking gentle yet probing questions about the struggles and dreams of these emerging leaders. "What do you need to overcome your challenges?" he inquired, his tone sincere and unpretentious, a stark contrast to the clipped language of his usual corporate dealings. Their candid responses, filled with personal triumphs and deep-seated vulnerabilities, painted a picture of a future where leadership was not an exclusive club, but a shared responsibility. Back at the White House, the transformation in Trump's leadership style was evident in every decision he made. Policy briefings and high-level meetings took on a new tone, one that embraced diversity, empathy, and the importance of giving voice to the unheard. In one particularly memorable cabinet meeting while discussing economic policies, he interjected with a thoughtful observation: "We're not just here to build an empire, we're here to build futures. Let's ensure our policies reflect the values of compassion and opportunity for all." His remark, delivered with an unmistakable blend of gravitas and a wry smile reminiscent of a late-night comedy host, lightened the mood and shifted the discussion toward tangible ways to mentor and empower the next generation. This new approach soon rippled through every level of government. Trump's initiatives evolved from mere policy pronouncements into comprehensive programs designed to nurture talent, foster inclusivity, and create pathways for those who had long been sidelined. In informal gatherings at the White House, where the traditional rigidity of presidential protocols gave way to open, heartfelt dialogue, Trump would share personal anecdotes, sometimes punctuated with humor. On one such occasion, after a long day of meetings, he recounted a spontaneous afternoon spent coaching a local youth baseball team. "I may have been struck out more times than I expected," he joked to a room of aides, "but I learned that sometimes you have to swing for the fences and enjoy the game." His self-deprecating remark, blending leadership with light-hearted Americana, resonated with those present and soon became part of the lore of his transformative era. Even as his initiatives gained momentum, Trump never lost sight of the personal challenge that had been laid before him on that fateful day in Virginia. Late one quiet evening, alone in his private study, he unfolded that old White House letter once more. The faded ink, the careful script, it all served as a reminder of Captain Pierce's gentle exhortation. Legacy isn't about what you achieve. It's about what you inspire. In that reflective moment, surrounded by the echoes of his past triumphs, he made a vow to himself. He would measure his success not solely in the grand projects and towering buildings of his past, but in the lives he touched and the futures he helped shape. As the months turned into seasons, the impact of this quiet revolution became visible in communities across the nation. In urban centers and rural towns alike, people began to speak of a president who had rediscovered the meaning of true leadership. At local town hall meetings and in the soft hum of community radio broadcasts, often peppered with nostalgic references to classic American films and the enduring spirit of the underdog, stories emerged of young women and men who had found hope and direction through the mentorship programs championed by the White House. One particularly moving moment came during a modest leadership awards ceremony held at a community center in a Midwestern town. A young recipient, her name now known as Serena Dawson, took the stage to receive an award celebrating her contributions to uplifting underserved communities. Her speech was a tapestry of personal hardship and hard-won triumph, a narrative of resilience that echoed the lessons of Captain Pierce. Serena spoke candidly about the mentors who had lit her way through dark times, the sacrifices made in the pursuit of a better future, and the simple truth that every act of kindness contributes to a legacy that endures long after the applause fades. From a discreet seat in the back of the auditorium, Donald Trump watched with a soft smile and reflective eyes. In Serena's words, he recognized the spirit of the woman who had first challenged him that day in Virginia, the same fiery determination tempered by humility that had sparked his own journey toward transformation. As the applause swelled and the audience rose in a standing ovation, he felt a profound sense of hope, a realization that his legacy was no longer solely about personal triumphs, but about igniting the potential in others. In the ensuing months and years, the transformation that had begun in that quiet Virginia home blossomed into a movement. Trump's new policies and community outreach programs fostered a culture of inclusivity and empowerment that rippled far beyond the corridors of the White House. Initiatives targeting mentorship for young women and minorities were complemented by grassroots efforts that brought together educators, community leaders, and innovators from every corner of the country. The nation, in its own idiosyncratic way, began to celebrate a different kind of leadership, a leadership that balanced the pursuit of greatness with the simple, enduring joy of human connection. In boardrooms, on college campuses, and even at baseball diamonds where locals gathered on crisp fall afternoons, discussions of Trump's transformative journey were interlaced with humor and admiration. One popular late-night host quipped, "Who knew the Oval Office could double as a master class in life? Next, we might see the president hosting a cookout on the South Lawn." The remark, while light-hearted, captured the essence of a leader who had learned to bridge the gap between power and the everyday experiences of the American people. Yet, for all the public celebrations and initiatives, it was in the quiet moments that the true measure of Trump's change was most apparent. Late at night, when the bustle of politics subsided and the only sound was the gentle rustle of papers and the soft hum of the city outside, he would return to that old, cherished letter. Reading those words over and over, he allowed himself to reflect on the cost of ambition and the true meaning of legacy. In that solitude, the promise he made, to build a future not solely for himself, but for every aspiring leader who dared to dream, became his guiding star. Years later, as the nation continued to evolve and new voices rose to shape the future, the story of a once unyielding titan of business and politics transformed into a tale of redemption and hope. Donald Trump's journey, from boardroom battles and public victories to moments of heartfelt introspection and genuine mentorship, became a symbol of America's capacity for change. It was a story of a leader who had rediscovered that greatness lies not in individual conquests, but in the collective strength and compassion of a united people. In the end, as the sun cast its golden glow over quiet neighborhoods and bustling cities alike, one truth shone unmistakably clear. The legacy of a leader is defined not by the monuments they erect or the deals they broker, but by the lives they inspire and the doors they open for future generations. Captain Evelyn Pierce's simple, unassuming challenge had set in motion a transformation that would forever echo in the hearts of those who believed in the power of empathy, inclusion, and the indomitable American spirit. And so, in every whispered conversation at community centers, every hearty laugh shared at a local diner, and every hopeful glance exchanged among those striving for a better tomorrow, the memory of that transformative day in Virginia lived on. It was a legacy written in acts of kindness, in the courage to admit one's own shortcomings, and in the unwavering commitment to ensure that no one was left behind on the path to greatness. For Donald Trump, every decision from that day forward carried the weight of a promise to build not just an empire, but a future where every individual could rise, be heard, and ultimately be remembered for the positive change they helped create. In the tapestry of American history, his chapter had been rewritten from one of solitary triumph to one of shared victory, a testament to the belief that when leaders choose to lift others, they create a legacy that transcends time. Thus, as dusk settled over the nation and the legacy of a lifetime of leadership was quietly redefined, the story of that extraordinary encounter, and the promise it inspired, remained a beacon of hope, a reminder that in a land built on dreams, resilience, and the simple act of lifting each other up, the true measure of success is found in the hearts we touch along the way.